to see everybody. This is a week that I have been waiting for probably, it had to be like 6 months. I've been waiting for this week. Well, first off, the GLC basketball teams are going to get their first win tonight, both of them. So we're excited about that. We got 2 teams. But more importantly, on Tuesday, the final season of Lost premieres. So where are my Lost people at? That's it? Now come on, raise them high. You got 4, 5? Okay, this is, let me recap for you. Last time on Lost, the half of the squad was coming back. Cover your ears if you haven't watched it, but I gotta let you guys in on this because you gotta watch with me on Tuesday. The squad was the team got on a plane. They wanted to get back to this island, this really weird island, and half of them ended up in the past, and half of them ended up on the island in the present time. And so in the past, there was all these people, and they're the Dharma Initiative, and they're trying to blow up the island so that they will eventually end up back in time, and that the whole series would have never happened. And so they drop a nuke on the place. And I just can't wait. That's the last thing that happened, was just this nuke just went off. And so I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to find out what happened after that nuke went off. And what happened with John Locke, because there's 2 John Lockes, and I don't know why. There's only supposed to be 1, right? All right, so if you're not with me, I love TV, okay? I was raised on TV. I love TV, and one of my favorite shows of all time had to be Home Improvement. Right? Where are my Home Improvement people at? There's some more there. It was just kind of one of my favorite shows. I just love that the tool guy was really bad with tools. You know what I mean? It was just this awesome thing because I could totally kind of relate to it. I don't know. I tried to fix a phone one time. I had a phone downstairs. I wanted to get my phone line upstairs where my computer was so I could have internet, right? So I called my buddies over, who's as good as I am with tools, and we go, what we got to do is we got to drill a hole through the ceiling, and we're going to run a phone line up through the ceiling, and we'll just connect it to the computer through the floor, right? You guys are like, yeah, that sounds like an awesome plan. I know. I thought of it. And so I went and I got a drill. I bought one of the really long drill bits, and we just got under the floor and just started drilling. And drilling and drilling, and it was taking a lot longer than I kind of expected. And I was just keep going and going and going, and finally, he yelled, like, yeah, I see it, we got through, and I was like, awesome, I ran the cable up through the floor, and everything was good, the internet worked, and then later that day, I was going up the steps, and I kind of heard this, like a waterfall, almost, kind of, that's the kind of the sound that I was hearing, and what happened was, Jess was in the shower, and I had drilled through the drain for the shower, and so all this water, and I was renting the place, so I didn't care, right? That's just the way it works. I'm a landlord now, but this is, and I realized the guy came over and he cut open the ceiling to patch it, and I was an inch from the power coming in, and an inch from the main water line coming in. And it's just one of those things like, man, I screwed that up so bad, so bad. And so I just feel like me and Tim the Toolman Taylor, man, we're on the same page. And so but it was just the thing with me is I just love that if something wasn't working, what did it need? More power, right? Come on, we needed more power, right? And it was. And so, the phone, like even to fix a phone, I remember one time he's like, phone needs more power? I didn't even know phones had power. They work when the power's out, but it needed more power. And so everything to Tim just needs more power. And so that's what this week is about not having enough power. There is if you're in your Bibles, the John 14, this verse that kind of been our series verse, says, believe me when I say that I am in the Father and that the Father is in me, or at least believe on the evidence of what you've seen, the miracles themselves. Verse 12, I tell you the truth, anyone who has faith in me will do what I have been doing. He will do even greater things than these because I'm going to the Father. Right? And so we read that, and remember, we're like, there's no way that I can do that. Right? There's no way I can do greater things than Christ. There's no way that the things that I've seen him do, the things that I've read about him doing, is insane. There's no way I can do that. And then remember, 5 weeks ago we said, you're right, we can't. Right? We can't do it. And it's because, and it's until we say that we can't, and admit that we don't have enough power to do it, and admit that we need more power. Can I get a from everybody? I mean, can I get... That's okay. I'm not going to force it. But it's not until we admit that we need a power that we don't have that we're going to be able to accomplish the things that God has in store for us. And we see it actually take place in Mark chapter 9. This is right after the Transfiguration, if you're familiar with the Bible there, that Peter and John, Peter, James, and John were up on this mountain with Jesus, and there was this Elijah thing and Moses thing. You got to read it. It's before verse 14 if you go home. It's good stuff. But afterwards, these three were up on this mountain, up on this hill, and this is going on down below. Okay, and so they're on their way down. We'll start here in verse 11. Believe me when I... Oh, no. Verse 14. When they came to the other disciples, right, they're coming down, they saw a large crowd around them. And usually the crowds are with Jesus. So, I mean, you got to be walking on, what did they do? And the teachers of the law are arguing with the disciples. And as soon as all the people saw Jesus, they were overwhelmed with wonder and ran to greet him. What are you arguing about? He asked. Verse 17, a man in the crowd answered, Teacher, I brought you my son, who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of speech. Whenever it sees him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they couldn't. And Jesus says, O unbelieving generation, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me. And so they brought him. And when the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into convulsion. He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. And so verse 21, Jesus asked the boy's father, how long has he been like this? And I don't know if you know this, but Jesus knows everything. So the only reason he asks questions is so that other people will hear the answer. Right? And so he wants everyone to know this boy has been like this from birth or from childhood. And so verse 22, it has often thrown him into a fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. And Jesus says, if you can, everything is possible for him who believes. And so immediately the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe, help me overcome my unbelief. And so when Jesus saw that a crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the evil spirit. You deaf and mute spirit, he said, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. And the spirit shrieked, convulsed him violently, and came out. The other disciples said, we loosened it. They didn't loosen it at all. Jesus sent it out, and the boy looked so much like a corpse, the man said he's dead. But Jesus took him by the hand, lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. And, people were amazed, right? I mean, here are the Jesus disciples. What do you guys can't do this. What's wrong with this? Are you guys really who you say you are, right? And after Jesus had gone indoors, his disciples asked him, why couldn't we drive it out? He replied, this kind only comes out by prayer. And I don't know if you've read that before, or I know I have, and I say this a lot, I think, in the last year. There's things that I read new, things that I've read my entire life, and it comes at me in a completely different way. And I read that, and I realized that if they come out by prayer, if that miracle happens only by prayer, what does that mean that the disciples didn't do? They didn't pray. Right? And you're thinking to yourself, like, at least I'm thinking to myself, if I'm in that situation, there's no way I'm not praying. Right? And so Jesus basically says, the reason you couldn't do it is because you can't do it. Right? You can't do things like that. That is a God thing, and you basically left me out of the equation. You're trying to do this thing on your own.